Thank you. And first of all, welcome to Uganda High Commission in London. Before I was posted here, I served as High Commissioner of Uganda in Pretoria, where I served for almost 4 years. Then in 2017, middle of 2017, I was transferred to UK. I also cover Ireland. So my work here involves strengthening the bilateral relations between UK and Uganda, and also making sure that our bilateral relations in Ireland is also strengthened. We do a lot of work. We do mainly commercial diplomacy. We attract high-quality investors, both Ugandans and non-Ugandans, from UK and take them to Uganda. We market Uganda as an ideal investment destination, and we also market Uganda as a tourist destination. We also serve Ugandans in UK. There are over 150,000 Ugandans in UK and Ireland combined, and we give them consular services. We give them passports, we give them national identification cards, we give them any support they would need in order to go back home, either to visit or to invest. So this is my work. Uganda is naturally gifted in virtually all sectors. We attract investors in manufacturing, in transportation sector, in health sector, in tourism sector, and agriculture. So these are critical sectors that are critical in the growth or in the economy of Uganda. We need investors to invest with us, together with us, in equal partnership, so that we can expand the tax base and make profit. We believe that when two countries trade and invest with one another, their relationship can be stronger. When we have successful investments in the country and in the region, young people will get jobs. There are a lot of young people who do not have jobs. So in the entire value chain, in any sector, young people would be able to get jobs. Secondly, government revenue will also increase because within the tax bracket and assessment, investors would be able to pay taxes to the government revenue. And these are critical ingredients for financing our own development programs. The investments that we promote should be a two-way traffic. Ugandans would learn from UK investors, and the UK investors would also learn from Ugandan investors. We are looking at the local content, provision of local content. In the past, it used to be one-sided, but with the proposal being made in Parliament, we hope that the local content bill will be signed into law, whereby between 40 to 60% of local content will be procured from within Uganda. And this adds to transfer of knowledge and also adding value to our products. Ugandan workforce are highly trainable. Where you find the skills lacking, you will be able to train them because Uganda and UK share a similar history. We use the same language to communicate. So it would be very easy to train our labor force in whatever skills you would require in order to run a successful business. Equality of opportunities in Africa is possible. One, if Africa can take advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is the ultimate trading system that Africans should adopt. It is going to eliminate trade barriers, so people would be able to move from one place to another, as opposed to the current situation. The current situation is a little bit limited. It becomes very difficult for Africa to trade among themselves, and in essence, for technology and know-how to move from one country to another. because of technical barriers to movements of natural persons and capital. So the ultimate goal of the African Continental Free Trade Area is to promote trade among African countries. And as I said before, countries that trade more with one another, they cement a solid bond with one another. And currently, the trade between African countries are quite low. So the overall objective is to raise these trade volumes from the current level to a better level where businesses can be sustained. One of the reasons is that it's very difficult to move from one African country to another. How can you trade easily with one another when natural persons are not able to move? The second one would be language barrier. Of course, the language for business would be the US dollar or the British pound. But Africans should communicate more with one another. That's part of social integration. Then thirdly, Africans produce goods which are similar to one another. So these competitive goods affect the way they rate in the market. But we believe with the abundance of natural resources and high quality value addition, these trade volumes can increase once the trade barriers are removed. Africa and the rest of the world are trading. I can give you some examples. West Africa trades more with the US because of the vicinity and also transportation across Atlantic Ocean. Eastern Africa trades more with the Eastern Asia and the Middle East because of the vicinity. North Africa trades more with Europe. However, there are some traditional crops and products that have been traded for ages. Crops like coffee, tea, vegetables. These crops have been traded for ages with partners in Europe, and this is not about to stop. I think health sector is quite a challenge in many African countries because of availability of skilled manpower in the sector and our ability to pay them equitable salaries. A lot of our manpower that we train in Africa, they find their way in other countries, mainly in Europe, US, and Australia. But we should not only look about money and emoluments. We should look at how we can retain our qualified doctors, radiologists, nurses, name it, in the health sector by giving them competitive salary in the region and also promising them training packages, at the same time equipping them so that they can be able to work and enjoy their career. So in the health sector, it's quite a challenge, but plans are underway to improve the health services. I can give you one example. In the immediate past, Uganda had fantastic health services. This is in the 1960s up to sometime mid-1971, 72. But with the departure of Ugandan Asians, much of whom had a lot of know-how in the health sector, the health sector collapsed along with other sectors. But from 1980s and above, we completely had a lot of brain drain. But Uganda government has gone ahead to train and retain more healthcare personnel in the health sector. And there are a lot more doctors, nurses, radiologists, anesthetists in Uganda now than ever before. COVID-19 did not only affect the rest of the world, it also affected Uganda. Since the outbreak of COVID-19 in December 2019, the economy of Uganda was so much affected. Our growth projection was at 6% per year, but that one has been halved to 3% because many sectors had to close down, especially the transport and the leisure industry. These sectors were badly affected. Our sectors which opened were health sector, pharmaceutical sector, the food industry, and logistics, including agriculture. So the economy was limping. Not all the sectors were active. During these last 2 years also, while the sectors I've mentioned, that is agriculture, health, logistics, and to some extent manufacturing and construction, they were on a positive growth trend. Other sectors like leisure and hospitality industry, they were on a negative growth trend. So that's why the projected growth rate was slashed from 6% to 3%. But we are slowly recovering from the pandemic. Vaccine rollout is a key issue in the fight against COVID-19. Actually, as government of Uganda, we encourage all the adults and everyone who do not have underlying reason not to vaccinate to go for vaccination, because it's the only way to fight against this pandemic. We believe that if all the adult population are vaccinated, COVID can be eliminated. However, the costs involved in vaccination is high. So we are calling upon developed countries, the G7, to carry the burden of the costs of vaccination. Because a lot of developing countries and underdeveloped countries cannot afford. You will realize that CHOGM should have happened, but it has been cancelled. The reason why it was cancelled because of COVID-19. Many countries are still on lockdown. You can imagine a lot of other programmed activities cannot take place because people cannot move freely, because people are fearing to get the disease. So the G7 nations meeting in UK, I think within this month, they should carry the burden. We request them to carry the burden of the costs of vaccination. And this is very critical for all of us. The Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, I use the abbreviation CHOGM, is a summit of the heads of state of the Commonwealth. And the members normally share policies, they share projects, they share ideas. It should have happened, or it was going to happen in Kigali, Rwanda this year, but it has been cancelled. It's a lost opportunity. It happened here in 2018 in UK here. UK was the host and is the current chair in office. It's a low-cost group that share a lot of experiences. How Uganda deals with, for example, the pandemic can be shared with other countries. And we had fantastic outcomes from our strategies, which was adopted by government earlier at the beginning, and Uganda has done very well in the fight against pandemic COVID-19, including HIV/AIDS. Uganda had fantastic strategies to fight against HIV/AIDS, working together with friends in Europe, in America. We managed to reduce the prevalence of HIV/AIDS from over 35% to below 7% per year. And those are the key results that we want to share with the rest of the world. So CHOGM, or the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, is one of the avenues in which we can share our experiences with the rest of the world.
That sounds interesting.
The African Continental Free Trade Area is one of the ultimate goal of all the African countries to trade together. You know, there are over 1.3 billion people in Africa, which comprises of 55 countries. And the total projected trade volume would be beyond $3.5 trillion. Now, the value exchange within Africa alone will create value and usher in a lot of development and growth within Africa to create more jobs and create increased tax revenues for government, and prosperity will be registered. I give this as an example. The East African community is one example of a regional economic community which is very successful. The likes of East African community, South African Development Community, Economic Community of West African States, etc., etc. These are important building blocks towards the African Continental Free Trade Area. Before the East African Community was re-established in 2005, the member states, that is Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania, later on were added Rwanda, Burundi, and South Sudan. They were trading in competition with one another. The rate of growth was very slow, but immediately the customs union was established, the trade volume and prosperity went up. It shot up. And East African communities now have registered more jobs and more growth in virtually all the sectors. So likewise, if we transfer that successes, the principles to the African Continental Free Trade Area, Africa will be a power to reckon with in terms of economic growth. It will no longer be looked at as a dark continent. It will no longer be viewed as a country riddled with, a continent riddled with corruption, because there will be multiple growth in multiple sectors, which benefits the young people of Africa, whose dreams, most of them, they want to come to Europe. Why do you go to Europe when you can enjoy opportunities in your own continent and in your own countries? So there are a lot of opportunities in the natural sector. There is a lot of minerals underground. This needs to be beneficiated within Africa so that the value can be retained in Africa for the benefit of Africans. The youthful population in Africa may be a boom, or it could be a disaster if we do not handle the policies right and quickly. We can now take opportunities for technological advancement, the fourth industrial revolution in Africa, to uplift the quality of life of the young people in various sectors. For example, let's take the successes of electronic commerce or using the mobile money. It was invented in Africa. Now the whole world is enjoying that invention. These inventions benefit millions of people across the board. If you value the transactions that take place online on an hourly basis, it is immense. And yet, majority of Africans are not banked. They do their banking and transactions online. The young people of Africa are highly trainable. We call upon investors who can either be Africans themselves, or they can work in partnership with investors in Europe, in Australia, or in USA. They should work in partnership and take advantage of the enormous natural resources that exist in Africa to transform these stagnant opportunities into tangible benefits for the benefit of all. I think many African countries should learn from what Uganda has done. We started with the National Climate Change Policy in 2015. We were ahead of other African countries. So once it was adopted, it kick-started a lot of strategies in various line ministries and agencies of government. And a number of projects use that policy to mitigate effects of climate change. Like, as you know, Uganda shares Lake Victoria together with Republic of Kenya and Republic of Tanzania. That's a very large freshwater lake in the tropics. And there are a number of lakes and tributaries in the Great Lakes region. So we designed climate change mitigation effects by coming up with projects that conserve these natural resources that we have. We have also gone ahead to do climate smart agriculture. And a lot of our partners, including the UK, are supporting climate smart agriculture. We have technological changes in the agricultural sector. For example, the use of solar panels or solar energy to draw water from the underground for irrigation. We have also adopted the use of solar panels to provide clean energy in households. Uganda has gone ahead to invest in electric vehicles. We now make buses that use electric energy to propel it forward. So although we have discovered oil and gas, we are balancing the two sources of energy, clean energy versus fossil energy. So these ones have taken effect, and we hope by the end of the year 2026, Uganda would be an electric vehicle producing country. And this is the only way to go. You have to balance the sources of energy as you manage your natural resources. The company that makes electric buses or vehicles is called Kira Moto Corporation. Actually, it makes buses driven by solar energy. So it is already work in progress, and there's a lot of research and development in that sector. So very soon, Uganda will be an automotive industry.